Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and these are my top 50 favorite animated films of all time. Now, this is my second installment of favorite animated films, so if you have not already, make sure you check out number 50 through 41 before we head on into the top 40. Now, a quick reminder, these are just my personal favorite animated films of all time. No other considerations were taken into account for this list. So keep it cute and keep it respectful as we share our opinions and talk about some animated classics in the comments below. Now, before we continue on with our countdown, let's go ahead and discuss some of those amazing films that just barely missed the cut. With so many amazing animated films, it was impossible for me to narrow this down to just 50. So we have honorable mentions before each and every episode. Thus, every video we have some honorable mentions to give some shout outs and spotlight to those other animated movies that just didn't quite make the cut, but that I still love. Toy Story 4 provided another impactful ending to the Toy Story franchise. Our characters are beautifully done. Of course, Pixar delivered on stellar animation, but most shockingly, they made us care about a story we didn't even really want, with the feels hitting in the end, Forky finding his way into our hearts, and giving us one of our most complex villains to date. Kung Fu Panda 3 delved deeper into family politics than either of the two previous films, and it does so very successfully, bringing the message of having a dual family and adopted parents to life. Kung Fu Panda 3 delivers a stunning animation, a stellar score, and the heart and laughs you come to expect from the series. An American Tale is certainly an emotionally resonant film from Bluth, giving us two of the only Jewish animated lead characters in animation that we've received to date. This story is full of heart, full of tears, but still brings out the great adventure in it all. And now, let's get into the countdown here with number 40. So at number 40, I have ParaNorman, the Halloween classic from Leica Studios. What an inventive, amazing stop motion animated film they delivered here. Talk about a twist that completely works. This is a beautiful case of turning a genre up on its head in a really thoughtful and smart way through the script as we learn the true origins of the terror that is haunting our protagonist's town. Not to mention, we get a huge reveal, as shown here on my shirt at the end, of this manly, heartthrob love interest jock character and his identity that is beautiful and wonderful and expertly handled. The script is simply intelligent across the board. The way it handles all of its themes, the way it handles the story and the mystery at hand, as well as those coming of age learning elements. It's all done expertly well. Plus, you get some of those creepy horror vibes that make it a perfect film to watch every Halloween season. Coming in at 39, I have Dumbo. Now, this is one of those Disney animated classics that has always just spoken to me. Now, full transparency, elephants are my favorite animal, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. But Dumbo as a story is yet another animated film that really centers around being different and finding your own identity, finding your own way, and really taking what makes you different and turning it into what makes you special. And I think Dumbo handles all of those themes in beautiful fashion. Dumbo and Timothy Q. Mouse have such a wonderful and amazing relationship. For me, it's one of the most special friendships in all of the Disney canon. Plus, Jumbo and her relationship with little Dumbo. I mean, come on. The waterworks just flow once Baby Mine starts playing. But it's a lovely film with beautiful animation. But unfortunately, has quite a few elements that don't age all that well, but it still holds a very special place in my heart and remains one of my all-time favorites of the Disney classics. Plus, is there 38? I have Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. At 38, I have Spirit, the Stallion of the Cimarron. An often overlooked and forgotten DreamWorks film that is stunning and definitely deserves more recognition than it often gets. Spirit follows the early colonization of North America, and particularly the breaking of wild horses, as well as wild people, according to the colonizers. The parallels there are expertly done without ever demeaning the humans of our story, but still while uplifting and humanizing the horses, and it's amazing. Matt Damon gives voice to Spirit, and I actually think he was perfect for the vocal work. The animation is stunning, and the sound effects that they got from live horses and mixed those in with other effects to get all of these beautiful sounds is stellar. Hans Zimmer scores this film, and it is beautiful. The original music is stunning, and the story is one of perseverance and identity, freedom and independence, and it's just beautiful. You will be moved, you will be uplifted by the end of this movie, and it truly is a special story. So I had to include Spirit here on the countdown. At 37, I have Shaun the Sheep movie. Aardman Animation gave this popular character its very own film, and I'm so happy they did, because what a fun romp Shaun the Sheep movie is. First of all, Shaun is so flippin' adorable, and when we get like those little baby sheep, oh my gosh, it's unbearable. But the physical comedy and hijinks in this film are next level and so funny and entertaining. This is a film that has no actual dialogue, just little sounds and little noises that the humans speak, but it's all just a bunch of gibberish. And I applaud Aardman for going down this road, making that decision, and challenging both the young audience as well as adult audiences with a film that has no actual spoken dialogue. And yet, without actual words, you get everything. You get the story, the heart is all there, and the hijinks land. The jokes are funny. The entire film is highly entertaining. I think it's a very inventive stop motion film that is both cute and yet daring. At 36, I have The Land Before Time. One of the many films that traumatized so many of us during our childhood. The Land Before Time is a true Don Bluth classic. Once again, the animation is really interesting in this film. It certainly is dated when you go back and watch it at this point in time, but it is still really beautiful, really expressive. You get a nice blend of actual cartoon style animation with much more realistic water and scenery. Obviously, the story of Littlefoot is really heartbreaking and really beautiful. It earns all of those emotions you feel as we move throughout the story. We get an eclectic gang of little dinosaurs together, and their friendship and bond that is created as we move throughout is really beautiful. And of course, it went on to spawn how many sequels and straight to DVD specials. But The Land Before Time blends everything you're hoping for. Beautiful animation, strong characters, heart, adventure, and quite a few laughs along the way. At number 35, I have Akira. A true anime staple that rightfully deserves its spot as a classic. This groundbreaking film still influences pop culture to this very day. Akira is definitely one of those films that stays with me long after I watch it. Every single time I've ever watched it. It really does make me think and analyze what these messages are, what this film is saying, because there is so much to unpack, particularly with that third act going just balls to the wall. You are left with this daring, boundary pushing film but that's not without its merit. The reason you care so much as we get to that third act is because they do a really fantastic job of setting up this dystopian society with really strong characters that aren't typical lovable characters per se, but ones that have their merit, that have their struggles that you can identify with and thus root for as we move through this fantasy sci fi thriller near the film's conclusion. This is quintessential anime as it pushes boundaries not only in the thought provoking sense, but as an animated film, definitely is made for a mature audience. As I said, it's one of the most influential films in history. It really changed the entire genre of anime, but also went further than that and helped to shape science fiction and pop culture at large. It feels like a sensory overload and is pretty heavy to watch as we get through it. So it's not one that you want to just throw on at any given time, but it's certainly one that I think everybody should give a chance at least once. At 34, I have Mulan. Mulan was released during the famed Disney Renaissance, and it is certainly one of my favorites from the era. As a character, Mulan is such an inspiration to both little boys and little girls alike. She is a strong person who holds both her individuality and her identity as a person valuable, but more importantly, does so in the name of her family without giving up those values. And I think that's fantastic and a wonderful role model. The romance in this film is also very much earned and delivers a wonderful bisexual energy to a Disney film that I personally love. Obviously, our side characters are some of the most entertaining side characters of the Renaissance era. The songs and music are amazing. Obviously, I'll Make a Man Out of You, Reflection, Please Bring Honor to Us. Every song in this film is top notch. The action is so much fun. The character growth across the board is beautifully done. And the film overall is just empowering while entertaining. I love Mulan. Coming in at number 33, I have Promare. Now, this is an anime that will take you on sensory overload, and I was 100% in for it. Talk about a unique visual style. Promare looks like nothing I have ever seen before in my entire life. The animation is stunning while also being so stylized that it stands on its own as an individual property. The action is that mecha anime action that the style and subgenre is known for, and it delivers full throttle. But what really makes Promare stand out is the messaging, the idea of the burnish and that type of oppression and misunderstanding, and how that misunderstanding through propaganda can lead to such oppression and devastation amongst a community of people. It was really well handled in the film. Plus, how can you not love Gallo? How can you not love Leo and their relationship, if you will? It's really funny. It's really fun. It is everything I seek from a high octane anime feature film, and it just delivered. Premiere is freaking awesome. So check it out. It's the first feature length film from Trigger, and definitely has me interested to see more from the studio. At number 32, I have Kung Fu Panda 2. As mentioned before, Kung Fu Panda is a really strong DreamWorks franchise that often gets overlooked or even looked down upon, and I believe it's very unrightfully so. This time around, we start to deal with deeper issues when it comes to Po and learning about his backstory, where he came from, and the fact that he was, in fact, adopted. That's right, he was not birthed from a stork egg. And watching Po develop so much in this film as a character was beautiful, and it was really well handled and done in stunning fashion. Kung Fu Panda 2 and subsequently Kung Fu Panda 3 as well handle 2D animation better than most every other 3D animated film has. The flashback sequences are stunning, and the use of that 2D through the flashbacks is well warranted and a beautiful stylistic choice. Once again, the score is stunning, and the 3D animation itself is just another level up from what Kung Fu Panda had delivered. The action in this film is also a lot of fun, and we get a standout, amazing villain from Gary Oldman in this film. The comedy works a little bit better for me here than it did in the first film. The action is a little bit better. The animation is a little bit better. Everything that the first film delivered, the second improved upon just that little bit. Plus, we added a whole lot of heart, and this really deep, sophisticated subplot was added in. And that just elevated all of the material for me to deliver one of those animated sequels that not only lives up to the original, but in many ways surpasses it. And capping off this segment at number 31, I have The Incredibles. What happens when superheroes are no longer allowed to be super? When they are all but wiped off the face of the earth, well, we get a sophisticated story about them as people. Delivered in a true fashion that only Pixar could deliver. The Incredibles humanizes the idea of supers in such a magical way. What I love so much about The Incredibles is the fact that we have that amongst comic book culture, where comic book movies are the biggest, most dominating force in Hollywood, we get this introspective look at what it means for them to be people and what it means for them to be a family, and getting to see them grow together, particularly Mr. Incredible as a person. Not to mention, we get such a well-developed and beautifully executed villain backstory in this film with one of, if not the best, Disney Pixar villain to date. Of course, we get the big action, and all of that is beautifully handled. The animation is stellar. In true Pixar fashion, not only is it truly heartfelt, it's also really funny and endlessly entertaining. And of course, we will always be thankful for Miss Edna Mode and her fashion advice, delivered only how a true diva could. It's no wonder The Incredibles is long a Pixar favorite. So that was number 40 to 31 in my countdown of my top 50 favorite animated films of all time. What did you think of the countdown to this point? Are there any shockers? Any surprises? How do you feel about the films that were mentioned here today? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. And if you enjoyed this video and are having fun with the countdown, please make sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on my latest videos, including each segment in the series. I love you all so much for your continued